Everybody knows that you can buy freeze-dried cultures and use that to culture your milk to make yogurt, or you can get yogurt from the store and use that to culture your milk. But where does the beginning yogurt originate? Even though it is homemade, my yogurt still relies on the culture developed by the mainstream companies that dominate the global production of starter cultures. It got me to wondering, how might I go about starting my own yogurt completely from scratch? Was it even possible? And if so, why weren't more people doing it? So I wrote about it in my newsletter, and one of my readers commented that they start their own yogurt using either chilies or lemons. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Chilies and lemons? That sounds really weird. But then I tried it, and people, never dismiss something until you've tried it, because this yogurt blew my mind. It was so thick, it was so creamy, there was no stringiness, and it was so sweet. In fact, it may have been one of the best yogurts that I have ever made. But before I show you how to make the culture, it's important to understand what kind of milk you can use so you know what your options are. I use my fresh unprocessed cow's milk, but you can use skim milk, whole milk, partially skim milk. It can be store-bought, it can be anything. So this is milk that's actually like pretty old. One of the nice things about making yogurt is that you can use up older milk because you're going to be scalding it. So milk that I forget, or milk that maybe was a little bit, I'm going to unscrew the lid. Milk that got a little bit too much barn crap in it, use that to make your yogurt because it's gonna get pasteurized. I've not tested whether or not you can use all the different store milks, but in some of the videos that I watched about making this, they used powdered milk to make their yogurt. And people, if you can use powdered milk to make something, you can use any kind of milk. I don't know that for a fact, but this is me riffing. If you're using another type of animal's milk, sheep, goat, buffalo, yak, camel, go research it yourself. But I don't see why it wouldn't work. The rule for yogurt is that you scald it to 180 degrees and then you cool it to 120. This scalding is necessary. Scalding kills off any bacteria that might be in the milk, and it's denaturing the proteins which make for a thicker set. For those of you who want more science, when milk reaches 172 degrees Fahrenheit, the lactoglobulin, which is the most prevalent protein in the whey, it denatures, it unfolds, and at that point it is able to bind with the other proteins, the caseins in the milk, and that binding results in a firmer, thicker set. So what kind of equipment do you need to make yogurt? Pretty much nothing. You do not even need a thermometer. I know I've been saying 180 degrees, 120 degrees. I'm not going to use a thermometer. I'm just going to scald it to right before the boiling point, so I know it's plenty hot, and then I'm going to cool it down till it's quite warm to the touch, but it's not going to burn me. So to recap the process, scald your milk, drop it down, culture it, then you incubate it, then you have the yogurt and you chill it, and then you eat it. And then you repeat that process for infinity and beyond. Starting today, this process begins, but to start, we have to have a culture. We don't have a culture, so we're going to work at acidifying and coagulating the milk. And to do that, we are going to use a lemon in one batch and chilies in the other. I have already been using lemons, so I know that this works. I have not done chilies. This is new for me today. We're going to see what happens. You really only need about a cup of milk per container. I'm going to just dump in a bunch and then divide it. It's probably like 3 cups of milk or so. So here you can see it starting to scald. It's getting skin over it, and it's looking nice and hot. You know it is scalded when there's steam coming up, and I can see it's beginning to have a little bit of like movement in the surface, like it's starting to bubble, but not really. It's looking a little frothy around the edges. There's like a little bit of a bubble, but it's not a boil, but it's right there. So now it's off. Now I take this milk and I'm just setting it over on the counter. You can see there's a skin that's formed. Some people say take this off. I never know what to do. I know that the dog loves it though. You're losing some of the fat, but it doesn't really matter. Give it a stir. You can see it's still steaming. Yeah, it's definitely too hot. Like it hurts to put my finger in. You need to be able to hold your hand in it for like 5 seconds. You can see another skin has formed, which is just keeps happening. This is what it is with raw milk. Give it a stir and it is comfortable. I can put my hand in it. So we're going to work quickly now because we want this to stay warm. If your milk cools down while you are working with it, you can always reheat it. These are just green chilies I got out of the produce section of the grocery store. There is nothing fancy about them. They are chilies. And here's the lemon, just a basic lemon. Sticking the chilies in one bowl, and with this lemon, you just want to cut a slit into it. That's all, just so that some of the juice gets out. Gonna pour milk in there, pour milk in here, put that face down. The stems are in the milk. This is wild, y'all. Cover these with plastic wrap. Now I have water in this cooler, about 110, 120 degrees. The stinking lemon is rolling on me. Well, it really rolls. Well, shoot, there, that's where I want it to be. Okay. You could use other methods of incubating. You could put it in a smaller cooler, of course, or a heating pad and wrap it in towels and set it somewhere. Or if you live in a very hot climate, set it in the sun. I don't know, I just made that up. Lots of options. Just want to keep it warm for 12 to 24 hours. I'll check this tomorrow morning and we'll see if we've got some curdles. It's a big cooler, and because there's only a little bit of water in it, it is not retaining the heat very well. So over the course of the last day, it has dropped to like 65 degrees, 70 degrees. And then I scoop some out and I've been pouring in hot water. So it's had this big fluctuation over the course of 24 hours. Oh yeah, we got a set on that. All right, here we go. Look at that. Okay, first the pepper. Yeah, that's set, I would say. It smells peppery. And the lemon is very set too. What do you know? It doesn't smell bad. It actually smells kind of like yogurt. I am going to be doing a pint of milk into yogurt with each of these. The reason I'm not doing a full quart is because this next batch is still not going to be good for eating. You need 1 tablespoon of yogurt to culture another quart of yogurt. So I'm using a ½ tablespoon-ish to culture each of these. Here's the lemon. I'm just going to do 1 spoonful like that. And for the pepper, 1 nice spoonful. I actually do want to taste the pepper because I want to know how burny it is. Oh, there's definitely pepper flavor. It's not hot, but it tastes like it should be hot. It tastes good. And this lemon, it tastes more and brighter. They're both fine. Cool. This is so wild. This is so wild. Now I'm just raising the milk to 180 degrees or till scalding temperatures. And there we go. It's starting to move a little bit. This will take probably between 20 and 30 minutes to cool. I think it's easier with your hands when you can pinch it, but that is really hot still. Third time. And yes, that is comfortably warm. So now I'm just going to add a little bit into each one to shake it out and make sure it's smooth. Okay, fine, that's messy. Let's do this. A whisk. You just want it to be nice and creamy. Rinse this off. All right, so here's a cooler, a more appropriately sized one. Feels like I imagine about 100 degrees. This will probably take about 4 hours. This went really fast last time. So here's the pepper, and you can see those wrinkles right there. That's inside. That means it has already coagulated. This is the lemon one. It's tilted, and there's clearly a set, but it's a little bit juicier. Time to taste those 2 test yogurts. This is the pepper. Look how thickly set that is. There's a little cream cap, and then you go down under and you pull up this gorgeous yogurt, which I'm going to taste because I want to know if it tastes like peppers. Oh my goodness. It's sweet, it's buttery, it's creamy, it's like satin. It's amazing. There might be a hint of like that heat flavor. There's no heat, but like you get that little heatness, maybe only because I'm thinking about it. That's divine, absolutely divine. I'm gonna make a quart of this next. So I'm gonna take a scoop, probably a tablespoonish, and drop it into that jar. And that's my culture for this next batch. This we will eat. I was thinking we would throw this out to the pigs, but no ma'am. Looks good set. Cream is a little bit looser maybe. That's pretty good. I'm checking for stringiness because, oh yeah, there's some stringiness. Yep, see that how it goes, zoop. I'm not a fan of stringy stuff. This is slightly more tangy, maybe. Slightly more snotty. It's not snotty, but you know, there's just a little bit of that slimy slipperiness. I'm not selling it, I know. I'm being honest. It's good flavor. I do not detect any lemon. We will also be eating this. It is very delicious. When I was making this before with the lemon yogurt, at one point it was snotty and slimy and slinky, slippery, stringy. It was stringy. And I made a second batch with the same stuff and it corrected itself. So what I have learned is that if something seems a little bit wrong or off, do another batch. Just like with a sourdough starter, that sometimes it's stronger or better, you'll start to get a feel for it and it will balance itself out as you continue to work with it. So don't give up. Another time I had yogurt that was curdled. The middle was okay, but on the edges it wasn't. It was bubbly and grainy and gritty on the bottom and on the top. And then I was like, huh, I think that might be a problem of incubation heat being too high. And I had been using my electric yogurt maker for that. I don't know what that temp is because I don't have a thermometer on it, but I guessed it was too high. So I incubated the next batch using that same grainy yogurt as the starter culture, water bath that yogurt, and it turned out perfectly smooth and creamy. So when yogurt is stringy, curdled, when it seems a little bit off, do another batch and adapt that incubation period or whatever you think you need to adapt, and it may right itself. It has for me all the time. time so far. I'm gonna take a scoop of this lemon, just about a tablespoon, and I'm dropping it into this quart jar. And we'll see if that yogurt stringiness will correct itself. I'm taking 2 quarts of milk. It does not have to cover the jars, you're just keeping them incubated in this warm space. Very rich, creamy, completely smooth. It's not viscousy at all. There's no pepper flavor. It's very mild, very sweet, extremely delicious. And here's the lemon yogurt. There's juice on that, but it's still thick. It is not stringy anymore. This one has a little bit more of the yogurt flavor, more tangy. It's not lemon tangy, but just like the yogurt tanginess, smooth, creamy. Doesn't quite taste as thick, but it's not thick. It's just that pepper one is super thick. It's delicious. These yogurts are completely good. This is the 2nd generation of this make, and you can do anything that you want with these and keep this going indefinitely. I had no idea. Who would have thought? In the fridge, they separate like that. It rises up, but you just shake it up, and then there's good as new. Since this is a cheese making channel, some of you might be asking, but Jennifer, what does yogurt have to do with cheese? I am so glad you asked. Yogurt is one of my favorite ways to naturally culture my thermophilic cheeses because yogurt is cultured at thermophilic temps or temps above 90 degrees. It is perfect for culturing thermophilic or higher temp cheeses such as your Asiagos, your Parmesans, Swisses, and Romanos. So when using yogurt to culture the milk to make homemade cheese, this is the thing you need to remember. It is 1/4 cup of yogurt per gallon of milk to culture it. And then you just proceed with the recipe as normal. So here's a question. What happens if you make yogurt using Clabber as your starter culture? My Clabber is a mesophilic starter because I culture it at room temperature. It is like 70 degrees. Yogurt is considered a thermophilic culture because it is cultured at like 110 degrees or whatever you're incubating it at. So my question is, can I use Clabber-Cultured, which is a mesophilic starter culture, to culture a yogurt? Today I got my Clabber-Cultured that's been frozen in these little cups and I am letting it thaw. About a tablespoon. I'm just going to whisk it in to my quart of milk. It has been scalded and cooled, and then we will incubate it like normal and see how it tastes. It's really thick on top. A lot of cream getting down underneath that. It looks like yogurt for sure. It actually tastes more yogurty than the other 2 yogurts I just made naturally. This one, probably because it was incubated overnight, is tangier. There's not any funk, none of the Clabber funk. It is fully yogurt. It is very thick, satiny, and creamy. It's spectacular. Yeah, you absolutely can make yogurt with Clabber, which is a mesophilic culture. Does the learning never end? Say you want to keep making your yogurt and you just keep using yogurt from one batch to make the next, but you're going to be gone for several months. You just don't feel like it right now, or you're out of milk because your cow has not freshened yet. Whatever your reason is, do not despair. You can still keep the same starter that you use to make your next batch of yogurt by freezing it. I have experimented with this and it works really well. All you do is you take about a tablespoon of yogurt and set it aside in little containers. You can use these little plastic containers that I'm using, or you can use ice cube trays, whatever you want. want, you need just a tablespoon per portion to start your next batch of yogurt. And then you just bring out your frozen yogurt, bring it to room temp, and proceed as normal, and you will have more yogurt. This is the way to make your own freeze-dried culture. To make a big batch of yogurt, here I have approximately 3 gallons worth of jars. There's about 3 gallons of milk. My yogurt starter, this time I think is pepper yogurt. First off, you want to thin this a little bit so that it doesn't clump. If it's 1 tablespoon per quart, that's a 1/4 cup of yogurt to culture a gallon of milk. When you use store-bought yogurt to culture your milk to make more yogurt, or freeze-dried cultures, over time the yogurt changes. It often becomes a little bit stringier, a little bit looser, maybe a little bit tangier. It doesn't quite hold up, and after a number of uses, you often need to start with a fresh batch. I have read that when you're naturally doing yogurt, starting it from Clabber-Cultured or starting it from a lemon or from chili, that it gets better over time. I have not gotten that far in this experiment. I do not know, but that's just something to be aware of. You can use whey from your yogurt to culture it. You know how the liquid separates in the yogurt and you get a bit of whey in your jar? It could be all whey, or you can use a mixture of whey and yogurt. It doesn't really matter. Use a tablespoon of that instead of the straight yogurt, and that will do the job of culturing. To start that first yogurt by incubating it with Clabber-Cultured, it required a 24-hour period. Now that I have my yogurt, this one will take only 6-8 hours, somewhere in there. It'll be a regular amount of time to make the yogurt. It's set. I'm going to give it a little bit more time to get tangy. So this is the yogurt that I started this morning. It's set up a while ago, but I kept it in the water because I wanted it to get a little tangier. And you can see it's just a good set. Boop. So now that you know how to make a yogurt starter completely from scratch, maintain that culture, freeze it so that you always have a backup. Use the yogurt in smoothies and breakfast bowls and bulk batch it. Now I'm going to show you how to turn it into Greek yogurt. Just going to pour it into a cheesecloth lined colander that's in a bowl so it catches the whey. Dump in the yogurt. Wait, you should come see this. Don't want you to miss out. It's the thick, delicious yogurt. You could chill this first if you wanted to, or you can just do it warm like I'm doing. Not the corners. Then take a wooden spoon, stick that into there, and let this hang. You don't want it to go too long because you'll make it too thick. You just want to get out, I don't know, a 1/2 cup of the liquid or so, whatever texture you like. It's so wet, it's getting drier on the edge. And that, my friends, is a very simple way to make Greek yogurt. If I wanted to fancy it up, I could stir in honey, some vanilla, I could stir in maple syrup, whatever you want, or just leave it as is, and you have a thicker yogurt. Ta-da, ta-da. This whey could be used to culture more yogurt, or I could use this to make a thermophilic cheese, or I could throw it into bread or soup or feed it to the pigs or whatever you want. Sometimes Greek yogurt in the store feels pasty, almost like chalky, like it's too thick. This is just like thick velvet and creaminess. It looks chunky, but it does not taste chunky at all. So I suppose I could whir it up with a blender or a mixer if I wanted it to be completely smooth. So, what is the shelf life for homemade yogurt? It's actually surprisingly long. Once a jar has been opened and bacteria has been introduced, it needs to be used up within a couple weeks. But unopened, homemade yogurt easily lasts 5 weeks, which means that bulk batching can save you a ton of time. Greek yogurt has a shorter lifespan because it was exposed to air while it was hanging. So plan to use up your Greek yogurt within a couple weeks. That said, I recently opened a couple jars of month-old Greek yogurt and there was this pink fuzz all over the top. I skimmed off the mold, cleaned up the rim of the jar really well, tasted the yogurt, and it tasted fine. It smelled fine, it tasted fine. I fed it to my family for a whole week. They didn't know, I didn't tell them, and nobody got sick, and so just sharing the facts. Now that you've done Greek yogurt, what about doing yogurt cheese? I have a recipe for that. It goes through the whole process of taking yogurt and turning it into a smooth, rich, creamy cheese, adding herbs to it to make it basically incredible. And that's what I recommend you watch next.